What's going on, guys? On my X back in action. Week 40 or episode 40. Week 40 in a row, technically.
Crazy.
So that sounds like a lot. I mean, that's we're gonna be doing this every time now, so I guess just gotta get used to it. But welcome everybody. You know, it's the usual team that's going on here. We got Faisal Khan up in the top right. How you doing, Faisal?
Doing good. Excited to be back for week 40, episode 40. And we have a lot of good stuff to talk about in today's episode. You know, we got the Kellogg's free-for-all going. We had some Halo 3 2v2s, and we had the Halo blog. So excited to hop into some topics.
Absolutely. Exciting stuff over at the Esports Arena tournament that we'll get to shortly. But first, got to introduce Justin Joseph. How are you?
I'm doing okay, man. Lakers are stressing me out this weekend. Taking some L's that are they're hurting. They don't feel good.
Playing tournament.
Yeah. They're going to run into Steph Curry, and Steph Curry's going to do what he's done to LeBron throughout his career. And that
would be an intense playing tournament
imagine
match.
That? Like, that's not even an actual playoff series. Like, you're having to play Steph and the Warriors like that. That's like nightmare fuel for me, right?
I don't want a playoffs where the Lakers aren't in it. So the playing game, the fact that that's an actual potential reality is
embarrassing.
Kind of saddening as a fan, right? Like,
yeah.
You want to see the Lakers and LeBron James in the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm watching them right now. They're playing the Nuggets, and it looks like we're gonna win. So hopefully,
I saw AD was out because of some ankle soreness.
No, LeBron was out because of ankle.
No. So like, I thought AD played in the game. And then
he's in. Yeah, he's playing.
He's back in. Okay,
he's playing good. But dude, like, you know, Wes, when he introed episode 40, dude, like, that's pretty rad. You know, I'm pretty stoked that we've been able to do this for 40 episodes. We might be the most consistent Halo content creation squad that there's ever been at this point, right?
40 episodes is a lot.
That's a lot. We're 12 away from what would be a year, right? That's pretty nuts to think about. So I'm glad to be here with you boys. And
a lot of it was pandemic, like in the pandemic era. And now we're hopefully, I know it's still crazy around the world, and actually it's like still really bad. But you know, hopefully we can we are rounding that corner, it seems like. So hopefully we can get out of that pandemic era soon. I hope.
Please.
I mean, you're vaxxed up. You know, you guys are getting the shots. Everyone's starting. You know, we're heading in the direction. So
I got football season coming up, and sooner rather than later. So I need things to normalize because I couldn't be more excited to go into a football stadium if that is ready. Right?
Yeah.
I don't want to rush it, but. I mean, come on! You tell me.
I want to have a LAN Halo tournament as well. All right, so
he's talking about football.
I
want to have a LAN Halo tournament in a stadium. How about that? Like, give me that.
Man. I want a Worlds, like a Halo Infinite Worlds stadium packed, like how we've seen it done. Yeah, we've seen it been done.
Did I say it on the podcast or did I say it somewhere else where I was like, I haven't gone this long without seeing APG in my life in
I think it was on the live show when we were doing
like 18 years. Like, it's absolutely insane. I've known APG for so long and I've consistently been able to keep up with him. I haven't seen the kid in forever.
Speaking of APG, he's been streaming regularly, and I love that.
I did resub to him the other day. Yeah, he's rocking the stream. He's actually been consistent with it. Good for him because he's typically pretty lazy with that stuff. So
and I've been matching him, and he's got like his mic on. He's talking all his matchmaking teammates. He's like hyping everybody up.
He is a matchmaking communicator for sure. He's the person that'll go into random matchmaking and call out.
He's getting everybody like he's pumping up his teammates.
But at the same time, he'll it's funny to watch his stream. If you haven't, check out APG's stream. Sometimes he is a good teammate and he'll try to win the game genuinely, right? So he's trying hard.
But he's competitive.
He's competitive, so he starts being toxic to like
yes, when his teammate messes up, he'll be like, "What are you doing there, dude?"
He'll straight up call him out. And I've seen countless times with a teammate, like he'll be on a smurf or something, and the teammate won't know who he is, and then the teammate will start like betraying APG, and APG will get so pissed. Dude, good content.
Dude, solo queue matchmaking is rough, man. I was gonna text you the other day though, Wes, because like the NFL draft went down, and I know you probably had the inside scoop. What was how'd that look?
It was it was an interesting draft, right? I think like Justin Fields getting drafted by Chicago is pretty exciting. Hopefully putting that big market Chicago Bears team back on track and letting them be good. It's always fun to have like the big markets be good at sports, right? Like the Lakers need to be good. The Celtics need to be good. Right. Yeah. It's like, it sucks that the Knicks aren't good. It
Actually, you're right. I take that back.
Sucks that the Bears haven't been good in a while. Hopefully that's a step in the right direction. That was a real only surprise, I would say. The Ravens got a couple of first round draft picks that one of them I'm not going to go into a Ravens draft breakdown here, but I'm interested to see the receiver play. Don't know enough about him, but the defensive end is 6'5", 265, and ran a 4.3. Oh my
God.
He ran a 4.3 at 6'5", 265. Like,
oh my Lord.
That's crazy.
That just sounds like a genetic animal. Like LeBron James never ran a 4.3.
Yeah. It feels like in the NFL, the draft matters so much like more than like the NBA. NBA is kind of like, I don't really watch it or pay much attention to it, but the NFL, it seems like there's a lot of come-ups that people make through the draft.
Well, I mean, like, look at Tom Brady. What did he get drafted in, like, the 6th round? And he's the greatest player of all time. So, I mean, that's what I think makes the NBA, like, the difference between the NBA and the NFL draft is that, like, in the NBA, like, the greats, you know they're great before they get to the NBA, right? Mm-hmm. The NFL, it's like, these guys are still so young and still learning how to play their positions and have to learn schemes and techniques and need those right, like, they need to go to the right places in order to have success. And I think that's what makes, like, some people evolve and turn into the products that they become.
That's awesome.
I think even in the NBA, there's, not to get into
the
back. Yeah,
always see,
and
similar to drafted first overall. Right, but
he was a top pick. He wasn't first, but he was like third or something.
Yeah, he was. I mean, like top 5, right? Like all these great players are typically, like, obviously they're first rounders.
Well, aside from Tom Brady, like, aren't most other greats, like, weren't they? I mean, again, I'm not the most historic football fan, but typically, like, I feel like in any sport, you would like the percentages would be in the favor of the top draft picks, right? So, like, I feel like those players, end up being great more often than, like, the Tom Brady's are the one-offs, I feel like, even in football, right?
I think they're more often in football than they are in basketball, but there's also more rounds and more players per team and everything. So that probably gets muddied when you start talking percentages and all realism, because you have 22 starters on a football team. So, like,
yeah, right? True.
How do these guys get anywhere? I always think about that, like, football teams. Like, how do you get anywhere for your travel? And it's like,
right, and
you have private jets, baby. Private, what are you talking about?
You have to have multiple jets to carry that many people. Like,
yeah, hell yeah.
It's awesome. Got to go on a different.
Dude, honestly, even esports teams now in the near future, all these big. I mean, some of them already do, but we're gonna start having, like, private planes for these teams when they're going to tournaments. Esports is.
We'll have made it when I got my own jet. That I'm flying on. Yeah,
that's when Will have made it. When Wes gets his own jet, Will have made it.
Yeah, we as a community will have made it when I get my own.
On my ex private jet. How awesome is this?
I think Marcus Alumni was telling me Hastro's actually charted private jets for the Envy teams before.
Yeah, I've seen it. They've done that.
That's
they'll post it on Twitter.
Man. Just a waste of money.
That's just.
I mean, if you got it, spend it.
Shut up.
If you got it, let it.
Hey, let's talk about we have some Halo stuff to talk about too.
So this weekend we had 2 Halo events. I think we'll start with the Halo 3 2v2 that went down. PennHalo holding it down, running a great tournament per usual.
You competed in it, didn't you?
Yeah. I mean, I'm always dabbling. Twos isn't necessarily my favorite thing in the world, but I had some fun with it. Me and Corey jumped in. The winners of the twos tournament though were Rain and Ryan Noob, and second place was Talonel and Gilk, who came from losers and pushed it to the second best of 5. So shout out to them for really bringing it. For me, I mean, it's kind of already established, but at this point, Rain and Ryan, I mean, they're just so dominant, dude. Those guys are so nasty at Halo 3 right now. I mean, they pretty much dominated the 4s throughout this last season, and now, they've won multiple 2v2s together. My question for you guys is, like, do you think that they're going to maintain this kind of this stature in Infinite? Like, do you think that core of them two is enough to really be a factor in Infinite, like, early on, like when everyone's back together? Like, do you see them kind of being in that finals picture consistently, like we're seeing them now?
I'll take it. So I think
I'll grab it from you, but you started moving your mouth.
Yeah, he looked like he was ready.
If you want to rewind on YouTube and watch Hazel do this real quick, because I mean, you were doing that, so I was like, he's got something to say.
No, you go ahead.
Okay. Where do I start here? Do I think they're going to be in the finals every time? No. Do I think that they can be and can win tournaments in Infinite? Yes. I think that those two players, like those are my two favorite players to like watch right now. Just because they play Halo how I would play Halo. Like they are scrappy and they're efficient, and like when they're on, it's exciting to watch. Like when Rain and Ryan are on, like that's some fun Halo to watch because they play at a pace that dictates everyone else's game, and they can do that against the best. It's going to be tough to do that, obviously, consistently against the likes of Snakebite, Frosty, Roll 2, Cloud9, even Envy, right?
Envy, yeah.
They're going to have their hands full. But I do think that they're going to be able to compete against those teams. I hope, at least. I think that, like, the process that Rain and Ryan kind of have in place as far as, like, how to get better and that mindset of, like, how to be good at stuff, they're very professional. They know when something is not like when they're not doing well, and they know how to break it down and figure out how to do it better. So once you have that as a skill set, I'm always going to give you the credit that like you can compete as long as you can maintain the level of individual skill that you're going to have to in order to compete with the gods that are on the other side of the stage a lot of the time, which is like the question that's always asked about these two are like, can they consistently play with the skill to play against Royal 2, Frosty, Snakebite, Lethal? Like, and there's not 4 players on the planet that can do that, I don't think. But I think there will be tournaments that they give them a run for their money. There will be tournaments where they create some upsets and maybe even come out with a win.
So that brings us to second place then, which was obviously Gilk and Tylenol, like I said. What do you guys think the future looks like for a player like Gilky, for a guy like Tylenol? Like, Faisal, I'll go with you first. Like, you know, these guys are kind of a little bit outside of the current circles, I guess you could say. But do you think that, you know, a Gilk or a Tylenol could potentially add something to, you know, one of these Infinite rosters on the come up?
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends on, you know, what frame you're looking or like what lens you're looking at it through. For someone like Tylenol, I personally don't know, you know, if his aspirations are to try to compete or because I know his stream is popping, you know. So and nowadays, like
He's probably got more viewers than anybody in MCC right now.
and you see people in pro esports transitioning to just like full-time streamer where, you know, where they're just they want that to be their thing rather than competing. So I think for someone like Tylenol, I don't know what his plans are for like competitive gaming, but I know he likes to play competitive, but he likes to stream. So I think he's, you know, I know he's a nasty player. Like he plays on a really high sense. He hits crazy shots. He has good decision making. So he's definitely a lot of potential there. But again, if I'm him, you know, the stream is popping, keep it going, like, you know, keep growing the stream. And that's really where a lot of financial freedom can come from. You know, streaming is crazy in that sense. And for someone like Gilky, yes, I mean he's a skilled player. Everyone knows it. Even in Halo 5, you know, he didn't obviously have the top tier success. Yeah, you know, didn't get into the top 4 or anything like that. But he was always kind of lurking on the edges of the pro scene. And you know, granted, he didn't have a solid group of guys to consistently practice with and play against the best all the time. Maybe now he'll have that opportunity because he's shown everyone, you know, how skilled he is in a game like Halo 3. But I mean, you know, Halo's very clicky as well. You know, he kind of already has a like persona or a stigma with him. So like in order for him to try to really get on a team to compete, you know, like one of these top 3, top 4, top 6 teams, he's going to have to do something like outstanding, you know, extraordinary early in the game, and to kind of give him that shot, even though he has the skill, in my opinion, and he has the determination, he has the time. You just really got to do something different to break into, you know, a situation where you're competing for a championship, you know. And similar to like the Rain and Ryan conversation, I think those guys have been around for so long. They've won tournaments. They're more established kind of players, and you know, people like like Rain's team with Penguin consistently. Like they were the duo. Ryan Noob team with, a bunch of good players as well. So I think I don't know, it's tough to really break into that top, echelon of these teams. And even the Ryan Noob and Reigns of the world, I don't think we can necessarily put them right there, right, just yet, because I think we've seen whenever like a brand new game comes out and everyone grinds it, kind of where they kind of fall in the pecking order a little bit with Halo 5. I know it's, a lot's changed since then. So my expectations for them are to be a good team, but I don't think we could put them up there with the, Cloud9s and the Sentinels just yet. But they have the potential, similar to Gilkey. Like Ryan and Rain are nasty. I agree with everything Wes said. I think they're extremely fun players, play the right way, efficient, slay when they need to, but they can, and fun to watch. So Gilkey is in that same category, I think.
Wes, one of the things that I wanted to actually ask you, so I guess recently on Gilk's stream, he was kind of expressing that he was a bit like kind of frustrated that he feels like he's been kind of left out of, a lot of these teams and signings and things that have kind of been happening. He feels like he's kind of like deserving of being in those circles, in those conversations. Like, do you think that that's like valid? Like when you look at someone like Gilk, do you think that he should be in the conversation when it comes to these top tier squads?
I think it happens, man. I mean, look, not to be an asshole, but I mean, look at my career. I won a national championship and ended up having a team with Killer Drew the next event. Like, nobody out there is feeling nobody.
Why are you gonna throw Killer Drew under the bus?
Right, I just know Carmen needed too, and let's get something straight. We were all heaven and earth was a blast. Let me just say that. Oh man. I mean, nobody out there is gonna feel sorry for you, Gilk. Like, get back on the horse. I figured out a way. Like, it wasn't easy. I put a dynasty team together of me, Richie, Destin, and APG. Guess what? We were the only team to beat Final Boss at a tournament. We 3-0'd them. Like, they came back and beat us in the best of 11 because they were the best team in the world. But we beat them in a series, and we were the only team to do so. Like, you're not going to be able to put a God squad together, Gil. Like, wake up. Like, unfortunately, you're not a Royal 2. Like, you are incredibly individually skilled. You know how to play good Halo. You can put together pieces to the puzzle, and that's what it really takes in order to compete with some of these teams sometimes. Like, sometimes you're going to be on the outside looking in of the team changes, and it's like, what do you do to maintain status, placing well? Like, that's a tough question. I mean, I had to do it virtually my entire career, whether or not I put together the dynasty team that got top 3 in H3 after the 09 success that I had, or what was it, like the Warriors team that I put together in Reach. Like, you literally have to, sometimes that's your career. Like, sometimes you're that guy that has to continuously be challenged to put teams together of up and coming players, find new talent, find pieces that fit together and play well, and find success that way. And it's like, it's obviously not the easiest road. The easiest road would be like getting a team offer from Cloud9. Well, that's not coming anytime soon. So wake up, drink some coffee, and get back to work.
I think ultimately that is what it is. You just got to put together a good roster and practice with a team that you're super confident in. That's how I always felt too.
Find
similar
some
to
individuals
West. You just have to find a team. You have to, first of all, you have to trust in your own skill, and we have no doubt Gilkey 100% has confidence in himself, right? So all he needs is three players that he genuinely feels like are just as good as him, like players that are nasty. And maybe that's the whole, of course, if it was that easy, he would do it. But I think that's all it comes down to. He's got to put together, like Wes said it perfectly. You got to grind. You got to put together the perfect roster. You got to beat the good teams. You got to, get noticed. You got to do something out of the ordinary. You can't. You got to really stand out.
You have to put the dynasty team together that beats the final boss roster somehow. Like, you literally have to beat the best team in a tournament. Like, you have to create an upset. You have to go in as an underdog. And that's,
I get where he's coming from though, because it's like that's got to be hard to go from teaming with people like Lethal and Trippy and Ryan Newman Rain, and then having to build a squad after. You know what I mean? I know. I'm saying, like, I get why it would be frustrating for him.
Cloud to Killer Drew. Yes, it's very hard. Trust me. I lost sleep at night going over shit that I thought was just fucking secondhand nature. Sorry for my language.
Oh my God. I feel like we've hit a little bit.
It's nothing personal, but that being said, he was not Cloud.
Oh man. Yeah, I think Wes, if you're building a team, right, like from the ground up from scratch, like there's kind of the two mentalities of like either you're going with, the kids that are that are coming up that are the gunners, or there's like the veterans. Like for you personally, what are you looking for if you're building a team from scratch right now?
First off, you got to have the skill. If you don't have the skill, I can't talk to you. I can't teach you skill. I can teach a lot. I can teach a lot of things. I cannot teach skill. You got to have a certain level of skill. I'm not asking you to be Rule 2. It was nice to have a Rule 2, but I'm not asking everybody to shoot at that level. You have to have good communication, but that's teachable. You have to have a heart, the work ethic, I think, is what sticks out to me, what used to, right? I think when I was in 2010 and I was not happy with my team situation, what I really found that I wanted to team with was APG. And what APG and I had in common was nobody was going to play more Halo than us. Like, we would play till 5 a.m, and then APG would call me at 1 p.m. and tell me to get on, roll out of bed, turn the Xbox on, hop in the shower. I'll be on in 10. Like, we would grind, man. Like, we wanted to get better. We wanted to improve. You got to want it. You got to be able to sacrifice things. You have to literally want it more than the other guys. And you have to show, your actions have to show that. And that's why I teamed with APG for the entire 2010 roster. I teamed with him in early 2011. Again, his biggest quality is that he wants it, and he's willing to work. If you want it and you're willing to work, I can teach you.
Skill. And you need to have the skill.
Well, it's your skill can improve, but your work ethic has to be there, or it's not going to, right? Your situational awareness in games, APG evolved as a player from the first time I teamed with him to the last time I teamed with him. He was a completely different player because he started learning how to play Force correctly and how to play efficient Halo. He used to challenge all the time, nonstop. Didn't matter what time or day, place, what it was, what position it was, what the score was. APG was going to challenge you, and he's probably going to beat you if you didn't have good shots. But when he was able to evolve his gameplay like that, and that happens over time when you grind and you learn mistakes and how to not recreate them, you just become a better player. And that's how he became a better player. That's how I became a better player. That's how a lot of us did.
Love that.
For sure.
Well, we also had, go ahead. Okay.
Yeah, we also had the Kellogg's free-for-all, and it was a bloodbath once again.
8-mans this week. They went up from 6-man to 8-man.
So I'll pass it over to you, but I just wanted to quickly get us into the topic. The Kellogg's free-for-all, like Justin was saying, the format was updated to an 8-man free-for-all. So, big change from that typical 6-man rotation they were doing earlier. And like I said, it was a bloodbath, but ultimately Renegade and Stellar advanced, obviously 2 of the juggernauts right now in the Halo 5 community. And we still got some people out there, man, that only 2 spots left. All right. And there's the Eco Smith is out there. Boo Boo Doo Boo is out there. Soul Snipe is out there. Manny. I know there's a bunch more, but those are just his name off the top of my head. So Justin, break down this Kellogg free-for-all, man. What do you think about the format change?
I mean, I'm a big fan of the 8-man over the 6-man in Halo 5 because I feel like to a certain extent in free-for-all, you have to have forced action. And I felt like with the 6-mans, there wasn't a lot of forced action, and you would see that there would be a lot of really low-scoring games. There's a lot of hiding in spots and kind of trying to wait for a third party. Whereas 8-man, you're more than likely spawning into a zone that's kind of hot, if not super hot. You have to kind of fight your way out. And I think that's a beautiful thing about free-for-all. Free-for-all has never been about having fair spawns or whatever. It's just been about do what you can, what you got. You know what I mean? And so I'm glad they updated the format. At this point, I'm trying to think of who's all qualified. It's Frosty. The first week, Frosty, and who qualified, Wes? Do you remember?
Frosty and Sane qualified the first.
Yeah. Frosty and Sane, right? So Frosty, Sane, Envor, Vemzy, and now we had Renegade and Stellar. So you have 2 spots left. And I know for me as a free-for-all competitor, if I was in this situation, I would not want it to come down to the last week to qualify.
Envor and Vemzy clutched up getting that.
Envor and Vemzy both
low key because there's some heavy hitters that haven't got their spots yet.
Yeah, I do not want to be a Boo Boo Doo Boo right now. I love you, Jesse. I don't want to be in your shoes at all right now. I don't want to be a Sab. I think about Bound. Everyone was talking about how good Bound is at ones. Well, you got to win some of these free-for-all things, man, if you're going to qualify for the ones. Like, everyone was expecting him to be a heavy hitter. So this last week coming up here, I think is going to be, like, must-watch Halo 5 content if you're into, like, desperation, if you're into, like, do-or-die time, because there's some big money on the line.
I got a question for you, Wes. If you had to predict the final 2 players that are going to do it, who's going to just go off the top of your head?
So hard.
2 players. I got mine.
I mean, I want Eco and Boobadooboo to do it because I really want to watch Boobadooboo in these 1v1s because I think he'd be a really good 1v1 player. I'm probably the biggest Eco Smith fan on the planet, so I'm trying to will that into existence. But like, it's just, man, when it just comes down to 2 games of free for all, and you have so much skill in one lobby, it's like the right things have to happen. Like, you have to have a little bit of luck, right? Mm-hmm. And I've seen him get unlucky already, and it's just like heartbreaking to watch it happen. I'm like,
so who's he gonna be?
He didn't make the finals of this last tournament by 1 assist because the guy that tied him in kills stole his kill with 2 seconds left at the end of the game. And then the stat board comes up and he's down an assist, and it goes kills, assist, deaths.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it was heartbreaking, dude. And I'm just sitting there like, Eco's got to be freaking out right now. Yeah, I would be so mad. If I had to pick 2, I'm picking Eco and Boo Boo just because I do think that they're 2 of the higher talented players. That being said, Sab has played in every single finals so far.
Feels like his time is coming, right?
Scary Out is good.
What about KCP? What about like the Soul Snipes? Have they been playing?
KCP, yes.
Soul Snipe and Manny were in the finals. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I believe Talk was in the semifinals. So it's like all those KCP dudes
are all nasty. Yeah,
those are sharks in the water, dude.
So much talent. Like none of these pistol fights are free. Like it's
no free pistol fights in these free
there's no free kills. Like
Justin, who do you think? Everybody should go with the 2 players.
I'm curious, has Druck been playing in these?
No.
Okay, because I would have picked him for sure. I think
for sure you would have picked him?
I would have picked Druck because I know he's done a lot of Halo 5 free-for-all stuff in the past.
Okay.
I think I really want to see Boobadooboo make it out of one of these things. As much as like my heart wants Boo Boo and Eco, like you guys said, I think that like when it comes to free for all,
it's not gonna happen.
It's not gonna happen. I think it's gonna be one of those 2. But I mean, Soul Snipe is nasty. I think it's gonna be Sab though. I think it'll be Sab and someone else because, like you said, Sab's been in all the finals. It kind of feels like your time is coming if you've been in all the finals.
Sab has been to the finals every time and not had a good performance in any of them, but he did get 3rd last weekend. Not this past, but the one before. But he got flat out 8th this past weekend.
Jeez, man.
So it's like
rough. Yeah. That's how it be though, man.
Sab is definitely skilled. We didn't see much of his point of view in the finals, so I can't tell you how lucky or unlucky he was getting. But like, it's just like at some point that can mentally weigh on you, right? Like I've been here every time. Here we go again. Like, does Sab have it in him to fucking bite the bullet, sit down, grit his teeth, and grind this one out 4 times the charm style? Like,
oof, yeah,
that says a lot about Sab as a player if he's able to. I just don't know. I mean, it's just gonna be tough for the kid.
Yeah, so much on the line, man. And like you said, the last weekend, it just reminds me of the Halo 4 Globals when we were playing in those like. You have 3 quits and you have to win 60 games in a row and like, dude. But yeah, shout out to those guys in the Kellogg free for all. I love seeing, still some Halo 5 action, still some Halo 3 action. PennHalo announced their roadmap. They're going to be running a bunch of other 2v2 tournaments as well. So there's still stuff out there and there's still great Halo competition to be had. We also this last week had the Halo Infinite blog come out, which I know a lot of folks were interested in and chatting about. One of the things that really stood out that Faisal brought up before the show was the mentioning of input-based like ranked matchmaking. One want to jump in on that like briefly. Basil, what are your thoughts, man? Mouse and keyboard controller, like, do they need to be separated? Do you think they should all be able to play together? Where do you kind of fall on that?
I don't know. I genuinely, I don't have a really strong opinion on this. I think I'm more so open to hearing. I'm interested to hear what you guys have to say, honestly. But I've been playing a lot of battle royales lately, and obviously in that it's a mix of both. So it's different in Halo because there's no. I mean, I would love for Halo to have a battle royale, but that's a whole nother conversation. Maybe we could do that for a topic. Well, what things would you want to see in a Halo battle royale? Dude, honestly, that would be amazing. Obviously, we got someone here. I don't know. We got someone here who might have to scoop on it or not, but
just staring at his face, looking for any kind of tell.
But obviously, there's no confirmed information about any of that stuff. But I wish there was. But I don't know. I think,
and you're not getting it here.
What do you think about it, Justin?
I think like for matchmaking, like who cares really? Like we have the keyboard and mouse and controller mix now. Controller is obviously a lot more dominant in the current Halo stuff, but with Infinite being built around more PC settings from the ground up, I think we could see it being a little bit more balanced or even played the other way where we see more of the advantages of keyboard and mouse. My
Halo though? I
think potentially, man. I mean, like we haven't seen anyone like, I guess that's like been the way to put it is we haven't really seen any people grind a Halo game from the beginning of its life cycle on mouse and keyboard, right? Like we saw it added, like it was added into Halo Reach, it was added into Halo 3 after they had already been out for forever. Whereas Infinite, where it's coming out right off everyone's even starting ground to start the game when it first comes out, I think we could see a lot more players like at a high level playing on mouse and keyboard.
I guess it just depends on like the aim assist and how like what the settings are, right? So like competitive settings will make a big difference on that because honestly, if you remember in like Halo Reach on PC, and again to your point, it was all after the fact, but I mean that auto aim was just way too OP with the controller.
Oh yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
And I think beamed.
I don't know, man. Unless Halo is completely, which seems like it is, again to your point, with PC being the main kind of attraction here with Infinite, in my opinion. We still have Xbox, the new Xbox, obviously, but it seems like it's all about the PCs. So maybe they're gonna officially do that pivot where it's not like you're forced to really, if you're trying to compete in this game at the top level, you almost have to play with the controller type of deal. Maybe you're right. Maybe it'll be from the get go. We'll see mouse and keyboard players, thriving.
My follow up question for Wes, kind of because I know Wes, you play a lot of PC, mouse and keyboard, do the whole nine. I actually got into a debate on Twitter with Active this week about this a little bit. Taking things a step further from just matchmaking, like tournament wise, do you think like folks should be able to pick input, or do you think it should be kind of standardized, like, hey, everyone's gonna be playing on controller? Like, how do you see that going?
If it's cross platform, I don't see why not, right?
Yeah,
like I don't think you should be allowed to switch. If you choose one, you're playing one. I watched some
conspiracy.
I know
when he had a controller.
I'm gonna be nice with my choice of words here because I'm sure he's a nice guy. I know a lot of his friends, and I like a lot of his friends. Like the Lovejoys, I know he gets along with. I know he's probably a friend of yours, Hunter. I'll be nice. But when I watched, I had no idea who this guy is, but I was walking past the pit at the tournament, and I see this man put his controller in his lap, jump up to the mouse keyboard after he picks up snipe, goes to it, loses all control basically of like, it just looked like a mental wreck. And to me, like having to switch between the two and trying to balance that and like focus on the game at hand as well. So I don't think it benefited him much to do so. I don't know where the strategy really came from, but yeah, I was like, something's wrong here. You shouldn't be able to switch in between the two inputs, and especially in the middle of a game, depending on what weapon you have. I'm sure he was just trying to snipe with mouse keyboard was his
That's
idea.
Like a one-off too. Like no one.
I was like, dude, just snipe the guy with your controller. Like,
yeah, like you're never gonna see someone like play both at a tournament for the same game.
Not
That's
at
a
high,
random. Yeah,
exactly. Like we don't have time for that. Like at a high level, and nobody got time for you to be fumbling your controller and have it bounce off my foot in the back direction, fall off main stage, and now I can just see it. Too many bad things happening. So let's limit it to if you choose mouse keyboard, you're stuck on mouse keyboard for the whole series. I'll say, and if you choose controller, you're stuck on controller for the whole series.
Like you had a tournament on Friday, you're not playing so well with the controller. I think tomorrow I'm gonna switch over to mouse keyboard, man.
Hey, if that's what you think is gonna save the day,
it all depends on what the game mechanics are and what it feels like, right? You know, if it's viable for it to be the competitive settings, what they're going to end up being with HCS. I think all of these factors are huge in determining how viable each of the inputs will be. But if I had to pick, I think it's good for both sides, so for mouse and keyboard and control players to be able to like reach the same ceilings, or like maybe even, you know, if one, like I wouldn't mind one outreaching the other ceiling, for example. Like I wouldn't mind if
I'm gonna push back on you guys. I think it shouldn't be. I don't think they should like tournaments. I think if you're gonna have like a fair competition, I think everyone should be like Halo's an arena shooter, right? Everyone spawns in with the same guns, even playing field. I think similarly, I think it should be even playing field. Like CDL, for example, you have to play controller, period. Even though they're playing on PCs, it's like, well, you know, like you want it to be an even playing field for everyone coming in.
The controller is also much stronger than mouse keyboard, so.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it depends on the game, but like what my whole thing is that they're not equal. Like they're not even. Anyone that's played mouse and keyboard or knows like at a high level,
like,
you know.
I think like, yeah, I don't want to disclose the audience that could potentially be participating that is nasty at mouse keyboard. Like I want a CS pro to quit CS and come over to Halo and play Halo on mouse keyboard. Like if he's nasty enough, I mean, that's impressive. If you can play mouse keyboard at the highest competitive level, like against Tox or Sentinels or Cloud9, like more power to you, because time on target and whatnot, this is a different beast with Halo, right?
Yeah.
So
it really depends on the mechanics of the game, and Halo seems like it hasn't had much success with mouse and keyboard, I guess, for lack of a better way to put it. So I think to your point, I think to your point, it's going to end up being like a controller based thing for competitive Halo. I think ultimately that is what it will end up being, just like similar to the CDL. But in a perfect world, I would like to see, you know, both of these worlds like growing. I don't want one to be cut off, and you know, that's why Halo. That's why Halo needs audience. That's why Halo needs a battle royale, because then where, you know, we could just be like COD. Look how successful Warzone is, and then you have your CDL popping off, and then you have all these streamers playing the battle royale game, mouse and keyboard. You know, you got controller players. It's awesome. But
I will say, like, seeing some of these, like, because they had that AT&T cup that came through Halo 3 recently, where there was like it was all content creators, massive dudes playing. Cool. Yeah. Dude, anytime I see Shroud jump on Halo, I'm just blown away, because that guy is obviously so gifted at aiming, but like he just grabs a sniper and just like flicks up, no scope someone that's like lifting over cannon on arrows, and like to him it's not even a big deal. It's just hitting another shot. He doesn't realize like in Halo, sniping someone over cannon is like pretty sick, you know what I mean? He just looks up and does it and just goes back to whatever he's doing, like, and it's like no sweat off his.
Yeah, I also watched Shroud miss his grenade onto R2 and made himself. So
no, it was on arrows. It was on arrows.
It hit the ceiling. Yeah,
it hit the little crack at the top of the snipe, and it came back.
I listened to Shroud complain about like grenades and stuff. Like I'm just like.
And he was genuinely mad at the game because he was like, "What was that?
Yeah.
What was that?"
Yeah.
I was like, bro.
It feels bad, man.
Yeah.
Cool. I think we touched it up. Faisal, anything else you want to?
No, I think we talked about everything for Halo this week. I am excited to keep, you know, monitoring and talking about the Kellogg's Free for All tournament and going into those 1v1s. It's going to be super hype. So looking forward to continue to you know, have some topics to talk about as far as competitive, meaningful Halo games. And, you know, obviously similar with the PennHalo, we got the roadmap for those 2v2s. So we got some stuff to keep up with as far as players and teams. And, you know, we're going to sprinkle in the fun, you know, old Halo memories and the topics like that throughout the episodes. But just I think for this episode we touched on everything, so I'm good.
Yeah, well, let's go ahead and wrap things up here, guys. As always, let us know in the description or in the comments some stuff you would like to see us talk about on the show. We're probably gonna do some more community based shows coming up here, so I want to get you guys' topics and questions in there. As always, be sure to check out our socials. Wes, Faisal, and myself, we all stream here and there, and got the Twitter stuff. It'll all be in the description below. But for On My X episode number 40, thank you guys so much, everyone who stuck with us this far, man. 40 weeks, unbelievable. Love you guys, and we'll catch you guys right here on the next episode. Peace, guys.